Have you ever wondered why life seems to be a constant dance between opposites? Day and night, joy and sorrow, success and failure. This isn't just a random occurrence, it's the universe operating through the law of polarity, one of the foundational principles of Hermetic philosophy. Today, we're diving into the depths of this powerful law, revealing how it governs our reality and how understanding it can help us find light, even in the darkest moments. The law of polarity states that everything in the universe has its pair of opposites, and these opposites are actually two extremes of the same thing. In the words of the Kybalion, the Hermetic text that outlines this principle, everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. At first glance, this might sound abstract, but let's break it down. Think of temperature. What we call hot and cold are not fundamentally different. They're merely varying degrees of the same phenomenon. The same applies to emotions, situations, and even the experiences we label as good or bad. This understanding is transformative. It teaches us that darkness isn't separate from light. It's simply light at its lowest degree. In the same way, challenges and hardships are not inherently bad. They're just opportunities in disguise. This perspective can shift the way we approach life entirely. The 20th century psychologist Carl Jung echoed this idea when he said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Jung believed that embracing the darker, shadowy parts of ourselves was essential for true personal growth. The law of polarity aligns perfectly with this. When we recognize that the darkness in our lives is simply part of the same spectrum as the light, we stop fighting it and instead, we learn to work with it. Let's consider an example. Imagine you're experiencing a deep sense of failure. It feels overwhelming, like the end of the road. But through the lens of the law of polarity, failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the same continuum. The distance between failure and success is simply a matter of degree. By learning from failure, adjusting your approach, and persevering, you can move closer to the other pole, success. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His understanding of polarity allowed him to transform failure into a stepping stone for one of the greatest inventions of all time. The law of polarity also applies to emotional healing. When we're in the depths of sadness or heartbreak, it can feel like happiness is out of reach. But by acknowledging that sadness and happiness are two ends of the same spectrum, we begin to see that the potential for joy still exists within us. It's simply a matter of shifting perspective, energy, or action to move toward the other pole. Ancient spiritual traditions have long understood this principle. In Taoism, the yin-yang symbol embodies the interplay of opposites, darkness within light and light within darkness. This harmony reminds us that life isn't about erasing one side of the spectrum, but about finding balance between the two. So how can we apply the law of polarity in our daily lives? First, practice reframing your challenges. Instead of seeing them as obstacles, view them as opportunities for growth. When something negative arises, ask yourself, what is the opposite of this situation, and how can I move toward it? Second, cultivate gratitude. Even in the darkest times, there's always something to be grateful for. Gratitude shifts your focus and helps you see the potential for light, even when surrounded by darkness. Finally, embrace self-awareness. Spend time reflecting on your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. The more conscious you are of your inner world, the easier it becomes to shift your perspective and align with the pole you wish to embody. As we conclude, let's revisit a profound truth from the Kybalion. The extremes meet, and all truths are but half-truths. Every truth is half false. There are two sides to everything. The law of polarity reminds us that life is never as simple as good versus bad. It's a spectrum, a dance between opposites. When we understand this, we gain the power to navigate life's challenges with wisdom, resilience, and grace. The light is never far away, it's simply waiting for us to shift toward it. So the next time you find yourself in darkness, remember, you hold the power to find the light. After all, they are two sides of the same coin.